Hi, and welcome to another Show Your Mix feedback session live from HOFA-College. My name is Jochen Bayer. I'm audio engineer and tutor at HOFA in the studios and at HOFA-College. I've been in the studios for almost 30 years now, and I can tell you something about your mixes and about the quality of your productions, of course. And with me today is Daniel. Would you please say hi to everybody?
Hi. I'm really thankful to be here today. Obviously, I haven't had that much studio experience as Jochen, but I have my fair share of experience, and I'm also an audio engineer and tutor at the HOFA-College, and I specialize in hip-hop and R&B and modern experimental genres. Yeah.
Well, okay. In case you are here for the first time, this is the way it works. You send us your songs, your mixes, preferably as an MP3 via email, maybe also as a download link. A colleague of mine, Paul, is sitting in the control room and checking the emails, and he's spinning the wheel, so to say, and randomly choosing or randomly picking up mixes and send them over to me, and I will insert them in the DAW and in the analyzer, of course. And we will give you some feedback to your song. Maybe, Daniel, you want to say something about the chat?
Yeah, so we've got a YouTube chat right here, so feel free to share your opinions, ask your questions, anything that is on your mind. Feel free to share and to talk to other people. Just do whatever you want, but please use the English language, as this is an English stream, so we're trying to keep it a bit homogeneous, yeah.
Right. Okay. So we wait for the first songs to drop in, and maybe a few words about the way we gonna listen to the songs later. It will be that I put down the level of loud mastered tracks a little bit in order to keep them on the same level as mixes that are not mastered, so to have a normal loudness that all songs have the same depicted loudness. So I'm waiting for Paul to bring me some mixes, and while waiting, maybe I can show you the analyzer for a second, then, and can you explain what we will see later? It's the HOFA IQ analyzer, and this is a tool where we see all the frequencies from left to right, like in a normal analyzer, but it also shows two different curves. That's the difference between this and normal other analyzers. It shows both a peak curve and energy curve, which is maybe just like that. Exactly. You see the peak curve is the top line, and the bottom line is the energy curve. That's like the measurement over time and of the RMS metering, so we can see not only which frequencies are very loud in a certain moment, one moment in the song, but we can see the level of the frequencies over the time. So okay, let's check the folder. Where is it? Okay, the first one's here. An Irish bar. Okay, whatever this will be. I copy it to my DAW, and while taking a look at the waveform, I'm checking it in the analyzer. And yeah, maybe Paul can even send me if there's anything written about it. So what have we got? Okay, I start playing the song now. Curious.
Just moved away from this little town I grew up in. Packed my 3 bags full of stuff that I'll never even need. I miss my friends and my family, my dog and the stars. The long drives at 2 a.m. and sex in my car. It's hard to grow up cause there's no way to stop time. I get lost like every single night. The people around you slowly start to change. You won't recognize them when they cross the street. Although I get older, I still feel the same as the child that smiles down from the pictures you frame. But when I get home, I'll make sure you're around. Get a bottle of wine and turn the music real loud. Everything's different, but where we are, it feels like the time stops when we're in that Irish bar.
All right, that's a rather short one, and so I played it completely. Yeah, interesting, nice combination of different styles and genres, and yeah, somebody right in the chat would have not expected the number to take this turn. Exactly, it's a nice blending and a nice turn and twist after the first half or something around that. Maybe I would say something to the acoustic part, and Daniel can talk about the second part. It's perfect. So what I really like is the way the vocals and the instruments perform in the first part. The acoustic instruments, it all sounds a little bit unfinished and rough, but that can also be part of the sound and the character. But there are 2 things you should really check out that are loud sibilants and vocal noises, clicks and stuff like that. They are really very loud. There need to be something like a declicker or a de-esser on the track. Maybe you should even cut out some noises with editing tools or whatever. That's too loud a little bit. Even though it's a nice and intimate vocal sound, that's very close and very intimate and near, but it's too much of that click and stuff in the vocals. What I do like is a general leveling. Vocals and instruments are very balanced and everything it's in its place. That's very nice. I also like the distribution of the reverb and the setting in the stereo field of the vocals. There's a nice doubling, whatever it is, if it's an effect or a reverb or a real doubling, I'm not sure, but it sounds great. And the first part is really, it's a nice organic, a little bit rough, but really nicely mixed acoustic song, and then it comes a techno track or whatever.
Well, not exactly techno, but should I just pick up from here? Yeah,
right. Please.
So great track, really great track. I really enjoyed the production and the performance in itself. It really reminded me a lot of the Frailty record by DLTZK. So what we have here in the second part is a more hyper pop, PC music type of drop or section. And that kind of mixture of an organic part and a more electronic part really reminded me of that Frailty record, because there are also a lot of, although it's not like the fusion, it doesn't fuse with folk music like this track did. It fuses more with punk elements, but still the vocal performance, which was very intimate and very much in your face and near, reminded me of that. And about the drop, I thought that for once the way you chose synthesizers was great. Some synthesizers reminded me of Drain Gang production, of White Armor or Young Good, very candy-like and kind of childish synthesizers, but you paired them with percussion sounds that reminded me a lot of Sophie and Charlie XCX, A.G. Cook, very hard-hitting and metal sounding, like not from the metal genre, but metallic drums paired with a bit of trap elements. Great track, great bass line also, which was also, it sounds very innocent and amateurish if you aren't in that kind of genre, but inside of that genre it just makes perfect sense, and inside of that whole musical context it's a great contrast, great track. Yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Yeah.
Happy to hear some hyper pop in here.
Maybe let's take a final look at the analyze again, because there are two things I want to point out. And one thing is the really loud sibilance we talked about. You can see in the analyzer around here, around the range from 8 to 9 or even 10 kilohertz. That's really loud and a little bit disturbing sibilance around there. And for whatever dance and hyperpop genre it is, I think the low bass range could have a little bit more energy. We didn't talk about that in so far, but the range below 90 hertz is a little bit weaker than it could be in such a song, even if it's not a techno or a EDM song. Even in the end, it could be a little bit more solid in the low bass range.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't notice at first, but now that you say it, that could bring the track to another level,
right?
And bring it way more forward when it drops. Yeah,
exactly. So I would say that's it for this song. Somebody asked for the address again. It's showyourmix@hofa.de. There it is again. And as far as it's concerning me, I'm putting in the second track. Okay, let me check out this. Here we go. It's from Caesar. Raubert. I have no idea. Okay. Love Inside You 2. Is it mix 2 or is it part of the title? I don't know. So I drop it over in the analyzer and clear the other one. Just a second. So, right, here we go. Okay, start playing.
The love inside you is the love you need to survive. Is the love to feel in your heart. Love is essential. If you love me, I love you. If you don't love me, I love you anyway. The love inside you is the love you need to survive.
Okay, I jump a little bit to a later part.
Don't love you if you don't love anyway.
All right, so here we go. Well, that's kind of I'm not sure what genre it is. It's of course pop music in a very wide sense, and there are some things I like about the mix and the song, but there are also things I would advise you to work on them. First, let me check out the good stuff. The leveling is rather balanced, and the frequency, well, setting of the whole mix is okay, but there are things we can or we need to talk about. And I also like the use of reverb in most cases, but not in every case. First, let's talk about the spectral thing, the EQ setting, and the frequency range, and we need the analyzer for that, of course. And yeah, there's one thing that jumps to your eye and on the first glance is this is very, very up and down, and there's dips and peaks and valleys and mountains and whatever, and it's not like a balanced frequency setting, but very up and down. The low end is a little bit loud, the very low end below 70 hertz, then the level is going down in the low mid range, and there's a really strange dip at 250 hertz. I don't know where that comes from, because you must have put it there manually. That's not just because of the arrangement or whatever. I don't know where it comes from. Then the mid-range is a little bit loud, and the upper mid-range, there are some peaks here at 1700 hertz, and then the high range goes up again. So it's not a smooth and balanced and leveled frequency range, but it's very unstable, uneven, and that is something you should work on, because it makes a very uneven and unbalanced impression, and that also is true for some other parts, not only the spectral setting. While the instruments, they are programmed and played well. There are some real guitars, I guess, but I think the playback is mainly done in the box. That sounds okay. It's a little bit plastic-y, if you can say that, but it sounds nice and balanced and okay. The reverb on the instruments it's pretty good, and the levels are set nicely. That's okay. But it still sounds a little bit, unfinished and not yet polished and really mixed. It sounds a little bit like a sketch or just an idea or a pre-production, not like a real finished mix. And you should also work on the vocal sound a little bit more, mixing-wise, because it's a little bit mid-heavy or a little bit too much focused on the mid-range, but also on the performance of the vocals. It still sounds a little bit yeah, unsure of what you of your singing yourself. I don't know if it's you who's singing or if it's another artist, but it's still, it is a little bit. Yeah, it sounds like you're not a practiced singer, or the singer is not a practiced singer, and you need a little bit more stability in your performance and more self-awareness and whatever. It could be a little bit better. That's hard words, I know, but you still need to work on the quality of the vocal performance. That's for sure. And one thing I would like to add, you could make the song a little bit more interesting and more dynamic, more lively. Everything is a little bit one line and very flat and even. We need a little bit more dynamics to keep the song interesting and lively and exciting. It's a little bit too flat in terms of dynamics and interesting things happening. You need a little bit put a little bit more work on that too. Okay, Daniel, sorry, I talked very much.
No, everything you said, I felt the same way. I also thought that in general the balance of the elements was done well, but there were some things that you could definitely work on, especially the vocal performance. I think that could end up being a really good track. It's just that everything needs to be a little more polished, a little more lively, as you said. And also I thought that the reverb was a bit too much, like it washed a bit into itself, like between the vocal lines. So for me personally, for my taste, that was a bit too much, the decay time, but that could just be the taste for myself, yeah.
All right, so I think it's just time for another track, of course, and let's see what we have in our folder here. Okay, put it in. It's from Rico Freitag. Hello, Rico. So, Peacetime Warriors, The Devil's Waiting. Okay. Check it out. Put it in the analyzer. Wait, what's that? What did I do? Here we go. And let's start with the track.
Cares for money and alcohol.
Okay, so far. Let me just jump maybe to the last down part. Okay, Daniel, shall I start again, or do you want to start?
You can start. Sure.
Okay. So, well, nice song, Rico. I like the character, the mood, the feeling of the song. Really very mellow and a little bit almost hypnotic feeling. It's like it's not happening a lot, but the feeling and the mood is really nice and yeah, it has a high it's some kind of genuine sound and both the vocals and the arrangement and the sound setting of the song. I like the drum sound, even though it's programmed, I'm not sure, but I think it is. Yeah, trip hop indie mix. That's pretty much saying what it is. My schöne guitar slides not heard. Okay, there are some guitar slides somewhere, and I jumped too fast to the end. But anyway, I really like the mix as a whole. But there are some things you could improve. Again, like in the mix before, I think the spectral balance is not yet perfect. Even though, of course, it has something to do with the arrangement, and there are not so many instruments, and so some instruments play in different ranges, and these ranges are a little bit loud and others are a little bit quieter. Like there is nothing really happening much in the presence range, like in the range from 2 to 6 kilohertz. There's a lot of energy that's missing here, and that is of course due to the fact that there are no acoustic guitars, for example, or keyboard or guitar sounds that play in that range. Nonetheless, you normally need something there in that range to have an open sound. On the other side, there is a little bit too much in that range at 1300 hertz from the vocals probably, and the bass range is a little bit cluttered and maybe too much energy in just the fundamental range of the bass, because bass is pretty loud, and in my ears it's a little bit too plastic. It sounds a little bit like a sample or a virtual instrument. I'm not sure if it is, but it's only maybe a DI recording from a real bass. But it sounds a little bit clean and plastic-like. Maybe you should work with a little bit more dirty, saturated sound, and not such a clean and sample-like sound on the bass. The vocals, the performance is great. I really like the character of the singer and the voice. It's nice, and I also like the doubling on the side of the stereo field. But you should be aware of the fact that the louder the doubling tracks are, the more indirect the vocals become as a whole, and you're at a limit there. You shouldn't make it more indirect and more wide and spacey, but still great sound, great mellow mood and feeling of the whole track. I really liked it. Yeah, so far from me.
Yeah, I also really like the track, and I think that you already brought up some great points, especially about the bass. I also thought that the bass had great potential. I really liked those bass lines and the groove. It really, like, as soon as the chorus started, I started moving physically, so I knew that was a great bass line. Melody was very catchy, the vocals were very catchy. What you didn't say yet, what I noticed as soon as they started was the drums. Because I'm very much from hip hop and R&B, I basically put great focus on the drums, and those drums just didn't do it right for me because they sounded too computery. Like, you could tell that they were programmed and that they were samples, and they sounded the same every time. So I'd suggest that maybe you try, if you have that same kind of rhythm for 2 bars already and just repeat it every time, maybe try to add some processing automations or try to use different samples but let them hit at the same time. Maybe try to use a bit of some MIDI variation, like shift them a bit back or a bit forward so they groove a bit better, because like this it sounded a bit robotic to me, and I think that they could just add that much more to the track, especially in combination with the bass. That was great. So it was just really a bummer for me that those drums didn't really groove that much, but you can definitely build up on that, yeah. The other thing I really noticed was about the vocals. Great performance, great singer. I also really like those doubles. What I personally didn't like that much was, for me, they sounded a bit too airy, like a bit too resonant in those high frequencies. I'm not sure if that's due to EQing or due to how you recorded it, or maybe you even, for me personally, it sounded like you added a processing plugin that added high frequencies, like Fresh Air from Slate. But yeah, for me, those vocals were a bit too airy in the high end. I don't know what Jochen thinks about that, but
yeah, in the very high end, there was something a little bit that could be maybe processing, but also maybe the very close miking, and can be because of that.
But that was the only thing that I noticed about the vocals. Otherwise, vocal-wise, that was great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's all about that song. Let's move to the next one. What do we have here? Okay, here we go. Catch a Vibe from Tobias Zimmermann. Let's check if he wrote something. Nope. So, okay. It's like a 3-minute song. Okay. Not too long anyway. Okay, the analyzer's working. We start listening.
Time to my own surprise, days hanging alone, isolate my phone just died. Then though I'm smoking most of the time, I keep it going, rhyming and flowing. My life is emotion, other days crying, fighting emotions. Fine lines, wide eyes light up just to heighten my focus. Trying to learn cause I don't feel like I know shit. Keep my eyes open, yeah. Wide as fuck with a little red. High as fuck, give me a minute, man. I'm reaching the pinnacle, out from my living room. Peace of mind, I hate getting physical. Shout out to the squad helping me when I'm miserable. Adrenaline pumping all through my viscerals. Wanna get on stage, man, I'm missing it. Probably nobody is listening, so I can talk shit all I want. Pull up to have a little fun. So put up your arms to do shit. I don't know, just invent a dance. Move your body is what I recommend. You're not a dancer, might as well take a chance. You came alone, might as well make some friends. Took your pants cause it's about to go south, and you better lay that fucking phone down, No stress in mind and no doubt. Show me if you got something to show now.
Whoa, it's time to put all your worries aside, cause we came to have some fun tonight. Don't always choose between the wrongs and rights, cause we came to have some fun tonight. So just groove and have a good time. Try some moves that you have never even tried. Feel the music, make you feel alive. Catch a vibe, oh catch a vibe.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are out.
All right. Well, somebody knows what he's doing. Great stuff. Well, great track so far from what I've heard, and yeah, great vocal performance, great songwriting, nice lyrics, and great sound in the playback. Everything's well done, very groovy, very jazzy tune, and nice one. And I don't have to say much about the mix because I think it's pretty much well done. There's not much you could improve. Maybe a little bit about the piano sound. That sounds a little bit too thin and artificial to me, and maybe a little bit about the resonance in the bass range at 60 hertz, but that's much about it. Vocals sound great. They sound controlled without being squeezed and pressed too much, and maybe you could put them a little bit to the front by using a little bit more saturation for more overtones, harmonics in the present range. But yeah, sound great to me. And you asked about quite a heavy mix bus compression. Well, it's not that obvious to me because I didn't hear the mix without the compression, but there are not so strong transients in the playback, so and the performance is quite stable, so that that compression is not doing so much, and there's no pumping and no artifact and no kill transients. That's okay. It still could be a bit louder for a release. It's like what is it in the end? Check it. It's like 14 loops LUFS. Well, that's okay for a digital release, but for a real comparison with other songs from the genre, you need to be a little bit louder. So besides the boost compression, you also need some limiting. But yeah, great song, great mix, and great production nonetheless. Daniel, what do you think?
So yeah, that was just what I needed. That was just what I needed to hear today. Great, amazing. I loved it. I really caught the vibe. The title was Catch a Vibe. I caught it. Really great work. Great work. You wrote that you didn't do the production, just the vocal recording and the mix. Whoever did the production did an amazing job. That was so groovy. That was rhythmically very, how do you say it? Like there was a lot of variation going on. I really like those bongos. Just things came in that you wouldn't expect, but they matched perfectly. And how you performed on top of that track was really, really great. That the flow, the lyrics, the songwriting, it just really, it just fit. It just fit. And as Jochen already said, the mix, there's not much to say. It just also fits. It's great. Great track. Yeah, I also didn't notice that much of heavy mix bus compression. I thought it sounded great. I didn't notice too much compression. Everything's really controlled, sounded professional. Great job.
Yeah, just the dynamic thing is really important on the track because it is controlled without being flat and without being boring. There's a lot going on in the dynamic range, but just it's still lively and exciting and a lot of different things happening. So it's never boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Good one.
Really exciting and yeah.
Okay, so I just checked the incoming stuff and let me check out this. Okay, there's another one. I think we have time for one more, right? Exactly,
yes.
We can do one more. Okay, there's a SoundCloud link, but that's not working, so I just move over. There is a real final thing. It's a song that is called Burnt Canvas, and its final mix. It's a 6/8 rhythm and online collaboration of various artists for musicians who did not know each other. Okay, that sounds interesting. I start the analyzer track and start listening too.
Sun is burning off your skin. You're not even close to it. Contrails behind blue glass. What will it cost to blast? Free from here into another world. Is it really outside or just another room? And you don't want to stay, but you will never leave. Listen to the shepherds and operate. You fade in when you're colorless. Paint your pattern in human red on a burnt canvas.
All right, so far. Yeah, I think we heard all the relevant parts of that song, and it's interesting because when you wrote that the musicians did not know each other, I think that doesn't come up when I listen to the song. But there are other things we will have to talk about. Well, the music performance is pretty good, and I like the arrangement and the song and some ideas in the production, but I don't like perfectly or the mix as a whole, because it sounds really unbalanced in my ears, both in regards of the leveling and the spectral range. It is rather thin in my ears. When we look at the curve, we can see that there are really loud high mid frequencies starting at 2 kilohertz and up to 5 kilohertz, and there's a really loud peak resonance at 600 somewhat hertz, and the low mids and the low frequency ranges at all, they are really quiet, and it sounds thin to me, and sharp and aggressive and not balanced in the leveling. I think the vocals are really way too loud, and that's what we see in the mid-range and high mid-range here. And the guitar for a rock song, they are way too quiet, and they need to bring more energy to the whole song. And what I really miss is the energy in the bass and the fundamental range of the bass drum mainly, but also from the bass guitar, which is a little bit thin to me. And you need to shift the whole balance a little bit more to the low end and move it away from the high mid range. It's not yet perfectly mixed, I'm sorry to say, but I think the song and the recording and the arrangement is just worth it. You can keep it like that. There are a lot of interesting things happening in there, and we haven't been through the whole song yet, but I think it's worth a better mix. Mainly start with a balance, and the rest will come by itself. Put up the volume of the bass drum, and put a little bit more low end in the bass, and put up the volume of the guitars, and make them more powerful and more in your face. That's what a rock song needs, guitars. And put down the level of the vocals, and that's that would be a great step in the right direction. Maybe I should say something about compression for that song, because that's the first one I hear today where I really think the compression in a group or in the master bus is a little bit too strong, even though it isn't loud. It's not pressed too much in the sense of loudness, but it sounds. There are there are some fluttering and pumping noises, and everything is a little bit affected by compression, mainly by a group or bus or main mix bus compression. Yeah, that's it from my part to that song. Daniel?
Well, rock isn't really my main genre, so I don't really have a lot of reference for it. But what you said, I could just say the same. Like, especially about the low end, it was kind of really missing, and the ideas that were inside of that song were really interesting. I liked them. I liked the distorted guitars and how I could hear how they could work together, but it just needs a bit more work in regards to the leveling.
Yeah, exactly. So, Dieter, whatever you want to do with that mix, focus on the levels for the first as a first step, and I think that will bring a lot to the quality of the mix. So I think we've been through some interesting and very different and very diverse styles today, and I want to say thank you for joining us, for being with us and sending us your songs. And if you want to learn more about audio engineering and music production, feel free to check our website, and it's HOFA-College.com. Check out and check also out our next workshop. There it is, Mixing Basics Compression. It's a really important topic, as we can see every time we are doing our Show Your Mix sessions. It's at least one song where I'm talking about compression. And check it out. And that one from me. Daniel, you want to say something?
No, just really happy that I could be here today. I heard a lot of different songs, as you already said. Very, very different styles. We had rock, we had hip-hop, we had hyper-pop folk. We also had pop and reggae songs. So yeah, just great session. Glad to be here, happy to be here, and yeah, that was it from my end.
Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. Have a good time again the rest of the week, and stay healthy, stay safe, make music, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.